This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It's Live Bet Sunday. This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Welcome back into the program. He's Will Hill. I'm Dustin Swedelson, and the Stanley Cup Playoffs are upon us, and there's a lot of people who normally don't care about the NHL regular season who will now be locked in for what is the best postseason among the major sports. And to help us break that down, we're going to welcome in an old friend, Jonny Lazarus, going to join us now on the Progressive guest line. You know him from the Daily Faceoff and at JLazzy23 over on X. He joins us now. Jonny, thanks for doing this as always, buddy. We appreciate the insight. We've got a game coming up here in about an hour. Senators and Maple Leafs, the Battle of Ontario. But I want to focus on Toronto because that fan base is always toyed with and teased every year thinking this is the year they're going to hoist the cup. So as Passover ends tonight, we ask the question, why is this night different from all other nights? I want to ask you, why is this Maple Leafs team different than all other Maple Leafs team?
Well, that's a beautifully phrased question, first of all. And it's great to be on here, guys. Will and Dustin, it's awesome to be on with you guys every chance I have. And also the backhanded compliment about the NHL playoffs was nice, too. That was pretty funny. No one cares about the regular season, but once the playoff starts, everyone's dialed in. You guys know I love that friendly banter, so nice to get it out of the way off the start here. But for the Leafs, listen, this one's also a different night of all nights for the Senators, too. They waited a long time to be here as well. So you got two fan bases that are really excited. It's a rivalry series, the Battle of Ontario, similar to like what we have in New York between the Islanders, Rangers, and Devils, too. So it's nice to see that these two fan bases get to go at it with each other. And, while the Leafs feel like this year could be different, I think there's actually more pressure on them now than ever because they're going up against a team that hasn't had much playoff experience, that's so excited to be there for the first time, that's probably going to have somewhat of like puppy dog energy, right? Just kind of running around, doing stupid stuff, not really knowing what's going on. But again, like that could be dangerous too, because Ottawa is a team that has a lot of talent up front, has good goaltending. But that's the difference for Toronto this year. It's the goaltending. Anthony Stolarz has been one of the best goalies in the NHL down the stretch. Won his last 8 games in a row, had great numbers. Joseph Wall is, just as good as a 1A, 1B situation. Toronto's blue line is much more physical than they've been in previous years, adding guys like Ekman Larsson and Chris Tanev, and Mitch Marner, again, him and John Tavares, two guys that are playing for contracts, have had unbelievable years too. And Marner's gotten a little bit of criticism in the past for being quiet once the playoffs start. I don't think that'll be the case this time around. And this Leafs team, just top to bottom, has gotten great coaching. Their mentality is just a little bit tougher than years prior. They're not as easy to play against. They don't lay down from physicality. So I think, Ottawa will come out in the first 10 minutes and try to just lay the body, not even be concerned about the puck, just to try to rattle Toronto. And in previous years, they probably would have gotten rattled, but I don't think that'll be what we see tonight. I think they'll actually embrace that physicality and bring it right back to Ottawa. So I want to say it's a more experienced group in Toronto. It's a more mentally tough group, I think would be the better way to phrase it. And, it's a team that is basically playing for their last run together, because if things do go south, I don't know what will happen with Mitch Marner and John Tavares and the future of this team. So a lot of questions to be asked, a lot of questions to be answered. And, I can sit here and say whatever I want, but we'll find out what it looks like an hour from now.
Jonny, Maple Leafs are minus 190 favorites here for the series, minus 175 favorites for game one, and the total is 5.5. Is there a bet in there anywhere to be made?
I would take the over tonight. Game ones are always weird. There usually is like a feeling out process, but these two teams are very familiar with one another, so I don't think you'll have that. Both goalies honestly don't have like so much playoff experience, let alone playoff success. So while the goalie matchup does look decent, it's not something that I can fully count on. And whenever you see that 5.5, like hockey is typically moved up to 6 or 6.5, I always lean over in those 5.5 games. So I would take the over in the game tonight. And then for the series, actually, I took Toronto minus 1.5 games. I think the Leafs will close out in 6. So if you're looking for good value on a series price, I would take the Leafs minus 1.5.
Jonny Lazarus is our guest. NHL Daily Faceoff at JLazzy23 over at X. Another game that will go on later tonight. We've got the Vegas Golden Knights hosting the Wild, Johnny. Vegas swept the regular season 3-0. When you look at the odds for this one, it's the Golden Knights laying 230 in the game tonight. Plus 190 on Minnesota. Total's 5.5. How do you think these two teams match up with each other?
I think Vegas is much better top to bottom. Down the middle, to me, Jack Eichel is one of the best players in the NHL. Minnesota's centers aren't nearly as strong as Vegas is. And the blue line, too, to me, is just much more experienced, much more big, or much bigger, much more physical for Vegas. And the goaltending, which is probably something some people might look at and say Minnesota might have the edge in goal because Philip Gustafson's been really strong the second half of the year. But to me, Aiden Hill's been just as, if not better than Gustafson down the stretch. So I actually think that Vegas has the goaltending edge in this series. I think Vegas's power play is stronger. Their blue line is better. Their forward group is deeper. Like, to me, Vegas is a much more well-rounded team than Minnesota. But what's scary about the Wild is Kirill Kaprizov and Joel Eriksson-Ek are now healthy. So those are two key guys that the Wild have missed for a lot of time during the season. But Kaprizov, before he got hurt, was actually, to me, the lead candidate for the MVP this season. So it was an unfortunate injury for them, and they were a much different team without him. They had a lot of hard time scoring goals. Now that he's back, they've put up a little bit more offense, but I think Vegas will do a good job taking him away. And if you take Kaprizov away, Minnesota, to me, is just not a scary team. So Zeev Boyov's making his NHL debut tonight, which is a cool little piece for the Wild. He was one of the best players in college hockey the past 2 years. He's a proven winner, won a national championship, World Junior gold medals back-to-back years. Like, this kid's a stud. So it'll be cool to see him on the blue line for them tonight. And I believe he's running their first power play. But to me, I look at this series line again, -1.5. I took Vegas, plus odds, so good value there. And I have Vegas winning the series in 5. So I have no concerns or no doubt that Vegas will come out of this first round series on top. And tonight, I actually think they're going to spank Minnesota. I have the Golden Knights -1.5 on home ice tonight, too.
Johnny, one of the reasons people love the NHL playoffs, it's unpredictable. Anything can happen. That being said, do you have a sleeper in terms of Stanley Cup, a future, maybe a Conn Smythe? What are your thoughts here? Do we have a dark horse team?
Dark horse team, I'd probably lean St. Louis. I thought they played a really strong game last time on the road in Winnipeg. Obviously, they came out, in a 5-3 loss, but I was really impressed with how they played that game. And Jordan Binnington, didn't really have his best, but Connor Hellebuck was not up to par as well. And he's, a guy that has a lot of criticism coming his way just because of how good he's been in the regular season and how his playoff failures, I guess, come to life almost every single postseason for the most part. So I think St. Louis can find a way to squeeze game 2 out on the road and then come back at home with a tied series at 1-1. And you never know what can happen there. So the St. Louis Blues going against the President's Trophy winners, I think if there's a sleeper team that you can ride, they were the hottest team in the NHL in the second half of the year. They're the team to do it. So the Blues would be my pick.
Jonny Lazarus with us, NHL Daily Faceoff at JLazzy23 over on X. Does tremendous job covering the NHL. One last question when it comes to games tomorrow. I know you mentioned the Blues-Jets game. If I was going to tell you, find me a dog, and I'll give you the dogs in tomorrow's action in the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Canadians are plus 164 at Washington. That series getting going. The Stars are plus 120 home dogs. I know they're banged up hosting the Avalanche. And then the Oilers plus 102 at the Kings. Any of those 3 dogs you think are live tomorrow night?
I would play the Canadians just because of the other matchups. Like, I think Colorado is going to be too much for Dallas, especially without Jason Robertson and Miro Heiskanen. And Mackenzie Blackwood looked so good in goal last night that I truly think Colorado is going to finish this series out quickly. And I'm not trying to take credit away from Dallas, but Colorado's my cut pick, and I just think that highly of them. And then LA was the best team on home ice all year long, so I don't know if Edmonton comes out in game 1 and wins that game. And then for the Capitals, right, because that was the last one, because I think we talked about the Blues already. For the Capitals and Canadians, Montreal have to play playoff hockey just to squeeze into the playoffs down the stretch. So, they're, for lack of a better term, I guess, more dialed in right now than Washington looked down the stretch. Like once Obi broke that record, the Capitals kind of, got a little too drunk to play basically for the last 4 or 5 games. So Washington right now needs to like flip a switch and get their mindset on playoff hockey, while the Canadians have had that for the past, let's say 10 games or so. So if there is a game 1 surprise, it could be the Montreal Canadiens on the road in Washington coming out on top. So I would take the Canadiens, and I think from what you guys said, that the value is the best there too. So that would be the game that I would lean on tomorrow.
I love to hear the biggest dog you like is the biggest dog on the board. So he's Jonny Lazarus.
Yeah.
You follow him on X at JLazzy23, NHL Daily Faceoff. I'm sure we'll talk again during the postseason. Thanks as always for doing this, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Happy Easter, happy Passover, and we'll talk soon.
That is good stuff.
Thanks, Johnny. Great job.
I'm starting to get into the hockey more. I'm one of those people that Johnny doesn't like that jumps on at this point. But the reality is the postseason is just so intense. It's so different. I love it. The other thing I love this week, Will, is the NFL Draft. I think it's the best single sporting event of the year. And VSiN knows every pick of the draft matters. Tune in for 2 special live shows breaking down every pick from a betting perspective. First, VSiN Primetime Draft Edition starts 7 p.m. Eastern, followed by Cashing Out Draft Edition, 11 p.m. Eastern. Explore our NFL Draft Hub on the VSiN Watch app, featuring exclusive analysis, team needs, and insights. All you got to do is visit VSiN.com/draft. You'll get full coverage, and you can stream it all live on the VSiN Watch app. He's Will Hill. I'm Dustin Swedelson. A lot to handicap when we return. This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We're back here. It's Live Bet Sunday. This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. I'm Dustin Swedelson, hanging out with Will Hill, live from the D, downtown Las Vegas, where we've got a little break in the big action when it comes to the NHL and the NBA, which gives us an opportunity here to stretch out, look back at what went on earlier today. So for those who missed it, the Oklahoma City Thunder put a beat down on the Memphis Grizzlies today, 131-180. They take a 1-0 series lead in that Western Conference playoff series. Oklahoma covers the -13. The game goes under 231.5 in a contest where Memphis shot 6 of 34 from 3, 34% from the floor, and they were out-rebounded by the Thunder 54-43. The question is, Will, can Memphis make this series interesting? Is there enough there, or are we looking at a historical Oklahoma City team efficiently on both ends of the floor that's just going to run away and sweep them here?
Define interesting. No, this is 4 or 5. I think the 5 is an underdog at this point. OKC looks just not even on a different level, 2 levels above Memphis now. If you're Memphis, you can't play any worse. OKC played really good. All of those caveats and teams when they're up 2-0, 3-0 have a tendency to take the foot off the gas. But no, and we talked about it earlier in the show. About 20 years ago, the NBA got away from a best of 5 and went to a best of 7. This is a perfect example of we do not need to drag on these series that are inevitable and make them best of 7. Get this over with. You know what? You play Sunday, play again Tuesday. By Thursday, this series should be over, and we should be on to the next one. Just so inefficient to make these series that are so inevitable drag out to 4 and maybe a 5th game. Just play them, get them over with, and not just it's efficient. It makes it more exciting where everybody is on edge. If you lose game 1, now all of a sudden, even if you win game 2, you can lose game 3 and 4 on the road, and you're done. So upsets didn't happen that much. It's all for revenue money that they had these extra games. That upsets didn't happen that much where it like screwed with the bracket. It made it so much more exciting when it was best of 5. I wish that was still the case, but no, this series is going to be over in short order. 4 or 5, probably lean towards 4 at this point. I'm never shocked if anybody wins a game in any series, just because I think it's human nature to let down once you get up 3-0. But I don't know. Do you have anything from a betting angle that you would take away? Would you bet them to sweep? I don't have that number in front of me. I could probably pull it up as you talk because they do adjust, correct series score, series spread. That's the fun thing about the playoffs. There's so many ways to bet these series.
Total games.
Yeah.
What I'd say is if you're in the business of the bridge jumping bets, the Thunder are 8,000, minus 8,000 at DraftKings.
Okay.
But I'm seeing William Hill out here, no relation, 20,000, minus 20,000 on the Thunder to win the series. So if you're into those sort of things, you play in those markets, I would tell you to shop around, because that is a huge disparity in how you're going to lay a price.
Plus money to sweep for OKC. Is that enough for you? Plus 180, 4-1.
Yes. Yes.
Which one?
I would plus 180 to sweep.
No, plus 180 is 4-1, so they got to win in 5. Plus 105 to sweep.
I think they sweep. I think there's
I lean that way too.
I think there's a lot going on with the Grizzlies behind the scenes. I think those players are ready for the season to end. I don't think they're totally into it. And the effort today showed that. I mean, what, they scored 34 in the first half? What was the score at the break? They 36. 36 in the first half in an NBA playoff game. That can't happen. That lets me know.
What's funny?
What's that?
I think it was 4-0 Memphis early on.
It was. No, they jumped out to a lead at the beginning. They definitely did. And then things got out of hand very, very quickly. I would bet the sweep. I think that's happening here. I think Oklahoma City's just going to chill. Because the problem with Oklahoma City...
Here's what you could do, too. Here's what you could do. You could bet them to sweep at plus 105. You're going to win game. I mean, you're a 15-point favorite in game 2, so nothing's a lot, but they're probably going to win game 2. As long as you win game 3, those lines usually swing. Once a team's up 3-0, they're going to be a big favorite in game 4, OKC, and you know what? You take Memphis plus the points, or you head back, you put yourself in a good position, where all you really need to do is win game 3 as a big favorite and put yourself in a good position. So I actually advise taking the plus 105 to sweep. I think it's a good one.
Yeah, the problem Memphis faces now is with Oklahoma City already having that rest advantage. The only starter to play 26 minutes was Jalen Williams. SGA only played 23 minutes, didn't even have an MVP-type game despite being the league MVP, 15-5-3. Like, you're not even getting the best out of Oklahoma City. They haven't had to be, tested. And because of that, you know there's another gear there when they need it. And I think that's in their back pocket if Memphis ever makes a run and makes a game interesting. I think the Thunder always have something ready to go where they can just run away from them. So because of that, I would take the sweep with Memphis. The other game that just got over, Will, was the Magic and the Celtics. Boston wins 103-86. They covered minus 12.5. Game stays under 205. And this is another game where I think we all anticipate Boston with the sweep being very live here. However, give Orlando credit. They had the lead at the half. That is more than most of us anticipated. But again, just like I said with Oklahoma City, Boston has their best basketball in their back pocket when they need it. They did that in the second half, outscoring Orlando 55-37 to run away with this one. Just a dominating performance from the Celtics, where Derek White is the leading scorer with 30 points. They just have so many ways to beat you, Will. I don't know if the Magic can steal one here, despite the Magic actually winning a couple games against Boston in the regular season.
Game 2 line is up 12. Boston laying 12. Total 201. I am looking. The series props aren't up yet. I'm curious what I'm sure it's similar to Memphis OKC, where a sweep is around even money for Boston if you want to go down that route. I'm looking for team total for Orlando. I'm looking to go back to that. Well, it is, let's see, you can kind of pick your juice here. 94.5 minus 122, under 92.5 minus 115. So I think it's 93.5, we'll call it here, for the Orlando team total. Would you go back to the well and play team total under?
I would, because I thought they had a great offensive first half today, Will, and I don't know if they can repeat that. And so much of the scoring is reliant on Banchero and Wagner, and they're just not getting help from a lot of the other pieces. You can't rely on Wendell Carter and Corey Joseph to consistently score. And Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, while he's like a solid veteran to have, you can't expect more than 10 points in a game from him. So because of that, I don't know where they're getting the secondary scoring. And I expect Boston to defend them well on the perimeter, because while we talk about the offensive capabilities for the Celtics, they're elite defensively as well. So you said 92.5?
93.5. 92.5 gets you plus money. 94.5 you have to lay minus 122. So you can kind of pick your juice in whatever number you want to go to. If you want to go crazy and say under 85.5, you get plus 350.
No, I'll play it safe. I'll do under 94.5 minus 122. Yeah. I'm fine laying 122 juice, where it could come down to 1 point at the end in garbage time because of that. I'll go under with that as well. I think that might be a consistent theme in the series, maybe until we go back to Orlando. But even then, I don't know. because
I'm going to play it till it loses, I think.
Yeah, because even then Orlando would have to play their style of game to win, which means it'd be a lower scoring game.
Yeah.
And then they would then score less. So I still think the under's in play. You're right. We'll play that till the wheels fall off. And that's where we stand there. Let's look back at yesterday, Will, in the NBA, because it was a great day. I'm actually jealous you were on the air with Ben Wilson for that Clippers-Nuggets game. Yesterday goes to overtime. Denver with the miracle run, right, to send it to overtime. Was it a 15-0 run in the fourth quarter to make that interesting? How about the Russell Westbrook shot? What was your reaction when he shoots that three and nails it? Because it feels like the career trajectory has him missing that shot and getting blamed for all of Denver's problems. He makes it. The game eventually goes to overtime and the Nuggets win. Take me through the emotional roller coaster you were a part of.
Yeah, you had the full Russell Westbrook experience, too, with the play out of bounds off Harden to save it. But my goodness, there was a lot of bad. How about they have a lead in a 2.5-second differential? Instead of running out the clock, taking the foul, he goes to shoot a contested layup. It gets smoked, and they get an offensive rebound. He missed a ton of layups. He was bad overall in the game. But you know what? I think it was Jokic who made the pass. He's in the game. He's open. And they didn't really rotate over to help him. You live with that shot, I guess, if you're the Clippers. And if you're Denver, you know what? You can't do much better than a wide open look. So he took it. He made it. Give him credit. There was some good Westbrook in the game. There was certainly some bad Westbrook in the game, but a hell of a game, a missed opportunity for the Clippers. I don't think this means the Clippers can't win. No. Obviously, it helps to have one in the bag here for Denver. I picked Denver in 7. I was one of the few that go against the Clippers. I'm sticking with that, but I don't change anything I really feel about the series based on that one game. Hell of a game, a classic. I still would pick Denver in 7. I still think this is a very long series here.
Yeah, I think the Clippers are live at plus 130 to win the series, though. I came out really impressed with them. I know they lost the game. They blew the lead. Harden's floater looked unstoppable. He was awesome offensively. Kawhi, it felt like he didn't miss a shot. And I don't know if we can rely on Denver to have that kind of effort every game because it's so much Jokic, it's so much Murray, and the Clippers are so much deeper. They almost went into the altitude and stole game 1 of the series. Right. I don't know if I trust the Nuggets to keep it up, and I've got 15-1 on them to win the title. I am going to come back the other way and bet on the Clippers to hedge that because I think the Clippers might be finding something here now that they're 100% healthy. They scare me a lot.
Really good team. The problem, it's moral victory. It's the first to 4. It can't be, we'll get them next time we played well. You got a chance to steal one on the road and really, strike fear into them. They didn't do it. A ton of turnovers. Can't turn it over 20 times or whatever it was.
No, we'll break down the rest of what went down yesterday when we return on Live Bet Sunday.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Man, what a great time of year to be here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. I'm Dustin Swedelson, hanging out with my guy Will Hill as we've got action all over the place. Still to come, we've got some hockey yet to start, NBA postseason, 2 games yet to tip. We'll preview all of that, plus Sunday night baseball between the Padres and the Astros. But before we get there, we should look back at what went on yesterday in the association, in the playoffs, because some market adjustments from what we saw. And I don't know about you, Will, but this Bucks-Pacers series was the weirdest series to figure out. Pacers are a team that the national media is just not locked into, but the reality is for them, when Tyrese Halliburton is right, they're an interesting team. They're not a scary team. They're not a contending team, but they're an interesting team. And Halliburton, for about the last 20, 21 games of the regular season, was awesome, averaging 21 points, 11 assists per game on 53% shooting. They go into that series with the Bucks, who are banged up. No Damian Lillard, and unfortunately, Doc Rivers is still their head coach. And the Pacers dominate game 1, 117-98. The big question looming over the series, Will, is when does Damian Lillard return for Milwaukee? Because we look at the market, and the market has the Indiana Pacers currently a minus 240 favorite, Bucks plus 195 the other way. If Lillard is able to come back by game 3, do you think Milwaukee is live to make this thing interesting at all?
Possibly, because it's clear the one thing you could take from that game 1 beatdown, if you're Milwaukee, the Pacers have no answer for Giannis other than hopefully he misses free throws. So that's the one thing. It's just we went through this last year, same round, same team, same matchup. where it's Giannis might come back for game 2. He might come back for game 3 or 4 or 5. And he never came back. And as soon as the series ended, it was clear he was never coming back. So is this gamesmanship by Milwaukee? From all of the medical people, like, wow, this is a really miraculous recovery by Lillard. So is this gamesmanship? When he comes back, is he ready to go? Is he rusty? Is he actually coming back? There's just a lot of question marks. So I don't know. I really don't have the guts to take Milwaukee. I don't see any reason to take Milwaukee. There's just not much else around Giannis. I understand, hey, best player in the series. You're getting a good price. You're maybe getting Lillard back. You put it well. It's a confusing series. I think it's probably properly priced. There's just a lot of uncertainty here. And I don't know that, is Milwaukee, let me ask you, is this enough of a price for you? What number would you need to take a shot on Milwaukee, either in game 2 or for the series?
No, I think it's time to tear this thing up. I think they tried a lot to keep Giannis happy so he doesn't request a trade to leave town, but you fire Budenholzer, your replacement is Glenn Rivers. That has not worked out at many stops over the last couple decades. I'm not sure why teams are still doing this and going for retreads when there are young, up-and-coming, innovative minds out there that teams can win with. On top of that, I think Indiana is going to go up 2-0 at home. I love Siakam. I think he's just such a solid, good player. I think the Pacers are the deeper team, and I don't trust anyone to step up alongside Giannis for Milwaukee because even if Lillard returns, I don't think he's 100%. I think he's going to be like 70% Lillard. And oh, by the way, 100% Lillard wasn't working alongside Giannis. They have not produced winning results. The only way I can look is Indiana, so it's a complete stay away for me. The game 2 line, though, it is Indiana laying 4.5, total 227.5. Not an official play, but my lean would be I'd lay the 4.5 with the Pacers.
That's come down too. I thought it was 5.5 or 6, so that has come down. So maybe there is some optimism that Lillard, we get him in game 2. I mean, the Bucks aren't going to tell you anything, and if they are, it might not be the truth. I just don't trust them after last year. So I don't know. The one saving grace, like I said, is there's nobody on Indy. Miles Turner, Nembhard, there's nobody to guard Giannis. He is completely overmatching everyone on Indy. So maybe you look at a Giannis over points, maybe you ladder the points, because I do think, these 35 plus games for Giannis are possibly going to continue as long as the series goes, because there's not an answer, but as we saw yesterday, it's not enough.
Yep. Another game yesterday that was wild. The Knicks beat the Pistons 123-112, and that does not tell the story. The New York Knicks dropped 40 points in the fourth quarter. They scored 21 straight in the final frame to win over the Pistons, who had a road lead in game 1 at Madison Square Garden. Brunson, 34, 8 and 2, showed up right when the Knicks needed him in the fourth. Cat was really good, 23, 11 and 5, 4 steals. But I think the key for the Knicks is OG Anunoby changes everything. If he's going to add something on the offensive end of things, they're a totally different ball club. He had 23 points, 7 boards, 5 steals. The problem I saw with the Knicks early on is maybe in game 2, Will, they should probably come up with a plan to defend Tobias Harris, because Tobias Harris was absolutely killing them. Looking back on that game yesterday, any big takeaways?
Detroit looked the part. They looked game. I mean, they're up by 90-81 late in the third, early fourth, led by 8 in the fourth. I thought Detroit was live in the series. Maybe they still are, but they look like a prototypical young team shook in a big moment. Madison Square Garden go nuts. And it got to them. They came apart at the seams. They turned the ball over a ton in that last fourth quarter. They missed a dunk that swung the momentum at the time when I think they still had a lead, or that was in the midst of that Knicks run or right before it. They're a good team. They're a talented team. I don't trust Thibodeau's teams to stay healthy. They tend to run out of gas. They tend to get hurt because he runs them into the ground. But this might be a year too early. Might be a year too early on Detroit. I took a shot on them 9-1 to win it, specifically in 6, because I thought the formula was clear. Steal one somehow in the Garden early, hold serve, and then close it out in 6. If they're going to win the series, it's not going to be a sweep. They're not going to win in 5. It'd be hard to win that young team in Madison Square Garden on Game 7. If they're going to win, instead of taking the 3-1, take the 9-1 for them to win in specifically 6. Maybe it's still on the table, but anytime you're an underdog like they are and you have a chance to steal one and you let it get away, it's a bad omen. And my goodness, if you took Detroit plus 7, you certainly deserve better, because you're up 8 in the fourth and you're getting 7 on top of it. To not cover that number, that's a tough one.
Pistons now plus 450. They were the pick a lot of people liked as an upset, just because it's not more that you think they're going to win. It's that the odds don't reflect the probability of them winning the series.
Yeah.
And you have to wonder, had they stolen game one, the confidence of carrying that over into game two, questioning if the Knicks are in the last legs of the Tom Thibodeau era at this point because they've just not gotten to that next level, things could be a totally different storyline for this series had they finished the job. Instead, they lose it, and now, like you said, you have to question, did the Pistons miss their moment? Was that the opportunity the Knicks were going to give them? And now the Knicks can kind of steady things out, say, look, we got the Pistons' best shot, we figured it out, we won, and now they'll cruise on and win the series. So if I'm a Pistons backer, I'd be very concerned because you had your moment, and you did not take advantage of it. Shout out to Mom Spaghetti and 8 Mile and Eminem there. Okay, the other game yesterday that we have not touched on, or do we? No, Minnesota and the Lakers. Lakers jump out 28-21, and then all of a sudden, Jaden McDaniels becomes Jaden Daniels, but the NBA version. What were we watching with Jaden McDaniels yesterday? 25-9, and they just decimated the Lakers on their home floor. I thought the Timberwolves were live at plus 160, but I didn't expect the Lakers to look that bad in game one.
No, and LeBron for the first time really in the playoffs, at least from my memory, looked a little old where you didn't really notice him on offense, didn't notice him on defense. He didn't what was the status? He didn't record a stat, point, rebound, or assist for the first 15 minutes. He was just out there not doing a ton, didn't bring a ton of energy either side of the ball. The one saving grace, if you're the Lakers, and usually these teams that lose game one at home roll in game two, so I do like them minus the 5 or so in game one and some 5.5s out there. The one saving grace, if you're the Lakers, at one point Minnesota was shooting 20 of 36 from three. That is all-time historic stuff that's probably not repeatable, but a lot of the looks were open. A lot of the stuff, Detroit, the Lakers just didn't have the personnel to guard them. And when you have to, it's almost like when you can't stop the run in football, you have to cheat and then you're vulnerable to the pass. They were helping out a lot, and that leaves guys open. So I picked Minnesota plus a game and a half. I ultimately thought the Lakers would probably win in 7 just because of Luka and LeBron. Not jumping off that pick now, but it's hard to really feel good about that. Right now, who would you pick to win the series without any odds or with anything, which is pretty much a toss-up anyway?
I think LeBron got some rest in, I guess. I liked Minnesota to begin things, but I question that scoring being there consistently. The one thing that I thought was interesting is I assumed Minnesota would dominate like the glass and the scoring in the paint, but McDaniel scored from the outside a ton. Ant scored from the outside a ton. I thought if the Lakers were going to get beaten by Minnesota, it was going to be because of the size. So that was one surprise for me. While I thought Minnesota was live, I do think in the end you have a trio of LeBron, Luka, and Reeves. 2-minute scoring, that's a dangerous way to spread the floor. Because of that, I think the Lakers will win, but this one may be going 7. By the way, ProfitX is offering you the best odds all baseball season long. ProfitX is a peer-to-peer sports exchange available in 40-plus states, the first of its kind in the U.S. You'll be able to make your sports picks against other groups of fans rather than against sports books. Exchanges guarantee you the best odds on average by 10 to 20%. You could even request your own odds. Download ProfitX today with the code VSIN and earn up to $200 in profit cash over your first month. Just go over to ProfitX and use the promo code VSIN. Our best bets, Sunday Night Baseball, NBA playoffs, and Stanley Cup playoffs when we return on Live Bet Sunday.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Man, we're closing up shop here on Live Bet Sunday. This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. I'm Dustin Swedelson. He's Will Hill, at not the Will Hill over on X. Should Have Bet More is his podcast. Go download it, like and subscribe. It's a great, what, you do it twice a week or once a week?
3 times a week.
3 times a week. Good God. Man's working overtime for you people, giving out best bets, and that's what we're going to do in this segment. We're going to give you some best bets because there's still a lot of big action yet to take place here on this Sunday. We're not used to this with this shift, Will. We had football, and that was one animal. But since football ended, we had March Madness, and games would kind of be ending. Maybe we'd have 1 or 2 to monitor. This is a great Sunday night card when it comes
Sure
to sports. You've got, 2 games in the NHL. You've got
two and two.
2 in the NBA.
Baseball, 2 NBA, 2 NHL.
And,
That's great.
and now 2 baseball games because the doubleheader with Washington and Colorado, which, I mean, who doesn't want more Washington and Colorado baseball? We do have official plays in all of them. Our best bets are presented by G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. G-Bank is upping the ante with up to a $750 bonus for new G-Bank Visa Signature Card customers. First, new customers who spend $1,000 on eligible purchases within 90 days from account opening receive a $250 bonus. In addition, if you spend $50,000 on gaming and sports app loads within the first 30 days of account opening, you'll receive another $500 bonus. That's potentially a $750 bonus. All you got to do is apply now at vsin.com/gbank. That's vsin.com/gbank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. Okay, let's begin with the first game coming up in the NBA here, Will. The Miami Heat, game 1 on the road at the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland laying 12.5. That total is 216. You're looking at a Cleveland team that really took steps offensively this year under Kenny Atkinson, moving Mitchell and Garland off the ball a little bit more, Will. It's opened up some lanes for them to get to the hoop more, but they're also great on the defensive end. Evan Mobley, a potential Defensive Player of the Year candidate, if not the favorite, according to a lot of experts. And the addition of DeAndre Hunter in the offseason was massive for this team as a two-way player off the bench. Looking at this game, does anything jump out to you play-wise?
I'll go under 101.5 team points for Miami. I just think that similar handicap with the Magic Celtics, where you have a team in Cleveland who's home. They're hungry. They're rested. This has been on cruise control for a while for them. They've known they're going to be the ones in the East for a while. They're going to be motivated. And Miami, they slow the pace. They play good defense, so they're more of an under team anyway. And they are limited offensively. My concern is Spoelstra sees, you know what, I'm a big underdog. I got to have them shoot 50-something threes, shoot as many threes as possible, and that would not be good for my under. But barring that, I do think this is a team that's still limited offensively, and Cleveland, for all the reasons I mentioned, I think can stifle them. So I'll go under 101.5 here, team total for the Heat.
Yeah, the Heat finished the regular season 24th in points per game, 27th in pace, 27th in free throw attempts, and you're looking at a Cavs team that had the best offensive rating in the NBA. They also were a top 8 defense. 13th highest margin of victory in NBA history. And the thing that I do like about Cleveland, especially against Miami, is they can change up who they're throwing out there. So they have a core 4, Allen, Mobley, Garland, and Mitchell. If they need more shooting, they can throw Strus out there. They need more facilitating. They can throw Ty Jerome out there. They need more defense. They have Okoro and Wade. And then they have Hunter who can do a little bit of everything. I just think Cleveland is way too versatile. If I was going to bet a side or total, I'd lay the 12.5 with Cleveland. I think Miami had to play a lot of basketball last week. The Cavs are now rested. I'd lay the number, but my best bet for this one, Darius Garland over 27.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I think he maybe gets a little bit more assists than usual against Miami tonight, and I think he's a guy who can get hot beyond the arc. Because of that, 27.5 will go over on Darius Garland. The other NBA game we're all hyped up for, it's the Warriors, a 7 seed favored against the 2 seed and the Rockets. Houston laying 1, totals 212. Will, what jumps out to you in this matchup?
Can Houston score in the half court? That's the Houston side. I don't have any plays in this. I did play Houston plus the game and a half for the series. Can Houston score in the half court where they can be limited? And can Golden State, what can they get out of their role guys? Because I think the Houston game plan defensively is, gang up on Curry, which, look, nobody's going to stop him. It's can you contain him? Butler, Curry, we're going to focus on those guys, make the Moody's, the Pajemskis of the world beat us. These young guys that have not been in this playoff setting before. Moody was on the team a couple years ago, I think. So he's been in this moment a little bit, but you get the idea. Not in this prominent of a role. So that's what I'll be looking at. If I had to play anything, I'd probably play under. These unders have been done pretty well here in round 1, at least the early start one. Not that this is an early start, but if I had to play anything, I would play under, but no play for me. I do like Houston plus a game and a half, where I just think that they do present some challenges with their size, their physicality, their youth. This is one of those series where Ben Wilson put it well yesterday. Sometimes in a game, in a series, you're just going to feel dumb no matter who you pick if you're wrong. If you pick against Golden State and you're wrong, so man, I really bet against Curry against this unproven Rockets team. What was I thinking? And if you bet on Golden State and Houston runs them, you say, you know what? I should have known that it was Houston's time. They're younger, they're more athletic, and Golden State's just old and they've missed their window. So fascinating series, fun series. I think it'll be a feisty series too, with all these, combative personalities on both sides. It should be a lot of fun. And I think it'll be a long series. Ultimately, I think Golden State wins. I'm picking in 7, which gets you about 450, 5-1. Who do you think wins the series? Who do you like in the game?
I like the Warriors to win the series. It feels a little bit trendy. I'm lucky that I have 50-1 on the Rockets to win the West, 30-1 on the Warriors to win the title. So I'm good either way to try and make some money on a big long shot here. Houston's interesting, though, from a defensive perspective. Ime Udoka has really transformed this team into a physical team, a more defensive-minded team that can limit people, i.e., when the Warriors went into Houston a little while ago, Amen Thompson held Steph Curry to 1 of 10 from the floor, 1 of 8 from 3. If they can, replicate whatever they did that night and won, that can make this series very interesting. I just think that's a tough task when the Golden State Warriors know they're going to have to deal with that. They're going to find ways to get Curry the ball more. They also have Jimmy Butler to rely on. Because of that, I think the Warriors do win here, but I do think there's a couple of things that jump out from a Rockets perspective. One, that defense. One, they have an opportunity where Golden State sometimes only has a couple shooters on the floor at times, and that could be playing right into the strength of Houston, who doesn't really have a ton of shooters either, but what they do have is a dual big lineup they can run out there with Steven Adams and Alperen Şengün that can really give this front court for the Warriors a lot of issues. You look at what Golden State's front court did against Zach Edey the other night. Edey grabbed 17 rebounds. Now we're talking about 2 7-footers here. That could be a bit of a mitigator where Golden State has all that experience in Jimmy Butler and Curry and Draymond Green. The fact that the rebounding for Houston could be so skewed in their favor, that can make things interesting. Because of that, I have one player prop for tonight. It's Şengün over 15.5 rebounds and assists. Warriors allow the 3rd most rebounds, 9th most assists to centers. Last 3 times out against Golden State, Şengün had 18, 17, and 16. So that is my best bet when it comes to that one. Let's shift over to Sunday Night Baseball real quick, Will, because I think it's a good one. It's San Diego and the Astros. Dylan Cease versus Framber Valdez. It's a game where I want to back the dog. I went first 5, Padres plus 105. I think you look at Dylan Cease, he's had a lot of success against Houston his last few times out. And his one bad start this year that ballooned his ERA was in Sacramento. I can't hold that against him. He's playing in a AAA ballpark. The ball was flying out there. Last year threw 8 1/3 shutout innings, 2 hits against Houston. 2023, 1 earned run allowed over 12 1/3 innings against the Astros. I think Cease is an advantage. I actually like the Padres lineup better than I like the Houston lineup this year. Let's back Dylan Cease and the Padres on the road, first 5 plus 105.
It's juicy, but I'm willing to take the half a run and lay the minus 154 at DraftKings. Shop around, see if you can get a better number. I mentioned it with Giants Angels, and it came to fruition. 1-1 after 5. Yep. You cash that half a run. You know what? That half a run is so valuable, especially when the total is low like it is in this game. You know what? Chances are there's a decent chance after 5, this is 1-1 or 0-0 or 2-2. That half a run is so valuable. I'm okay laying the 54 here. So I'm going to take the Padres plus the half a run in the first 5.
All right, let's ride. Total's 10.5 in this game. Is that right? Or am I wrong there? No, that total's not 10.5. Total is 7.5. Minus 102 on the Padres, minus 118 full game on the Astros. I actually think the under is in play, but I'm a little hesitant to bet it because I don't know what version of Framber Valdez we're going to get here. 2 great starts against Seattle and the Mets, bad offenses, and 2 bad starts against St. Louis and San Francisco, which aren't really great offenses, so I don't know what version of Framber we're going to get. So that's the action that's coming up. You don't have to go anywhere to enjoy it because our guy Greg Hoops Peterson is coming up next. Live Bet Sunday is going to roll on with him. He'll take you through all the live betting angles when it comes to the NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball, and of course the NHL. For Will Hill, I'm Dustin Swedelson. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Live Bet Sunday, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.